Hello, and welcome to the Chronicles of Dragonlance podcast, where we go book by book through the lengthy series of Dragonlance books. As always, my name is Jonathan Howard, and with me is my good friend Shivam. Hey, bud.
Hello. You know, we keep saying that we're going book by book, but real talk is we've been doing this for 2 years, and we're still in book 2. So maybe we need to start rejiggering how we actually introduce this podcast to be the Chronicles of Dragonlance podcast about the Chronicles of Dragonlance. Maybe someday we'll get to the rest of it, but for now...
Where we've gone book. We've gone book.
Yeah, we've gone book. book and a half.
As Shivam was saying, we're in the second book, Dragons of Winter Night, and we're at Chapter 7, Dark Journey. Chapter 6 ended with Silvara doing a little bit of a heel turn. Perhaps, maybe, we don't know. Certainly asserting herself.
Yeah, she's definitely not the helpless maiden that she was introduced as. Which, I'll be honest, the first time I read the books, I did not buy that either. Like, they're like, ooh, look at the dirty sea. I'm like, no, dude, you guys are laying it on a little thick. Even as a kid, I definitely was like, something's up here. You don't have a name like Silvara and just be like, oh, I'm just a lowly Kaganesi or whatever. No, you're fine, dude. But yeah, Silvara is just like... Also, this is another of those episodes which is just progressing insanely quickly. Laurana, from the camp through like where we are now, is like 3 days, 2 days maybe. And in that time, suddenly Gilthanas has fallen head over heels in love with this random person he's never met. This random person has gone from being a servant who is combing Laurana's hair one day to like leading the party the next. Like, what in the hell?
They've traveled across all of Southern Ergoth, went up an entire river, and then up an entire mountain, because now they're at the top of it.
Yeah, maybe I wonder if it's longer than they say it is, but at the same time, it feels like you see this sometimes with authors who write a lot of books and stuff, is that sometimes they will jam so much in there that they forget how much can actually be done within the context of an hour. Like when you look at like Wheel of Time, which is like 13, 14 books long, and you're like, oh, these books span like 2 years, maybe. But he's been writing it for like 30 years. And so he writes the characters because he knows them really well. And he writes them as if they know each other for the same 30 years that he has known them. And this becomes really jarringly apparent when you read the chunks that Brandon Sanderson picks up afterwards, where he's like, by the way, these two characters literally have never met on screen. Or these two characters have barely know each other. And then he writes it like that. And you're like, oh, that's hella jarring because we've been reading these books for decades. Like here, it feels like these guys were just like caught up in their story so much that they forgot how long these spaces should take. This is like, oh, it's weird because it comes up even now when I'm talking to like when Margaret asks me questions about the books and stuff, she'll like send me an email like, how long would it take a dragon to fly from Solus to like the High Claris Tower or whatever? And I pull out my map and I do like the little, miles to inches thing or whatever. And she's like, that's not fast enough. Is there a faster way that they can go? And I'm like,
portals. You just need some portals.
That's how I ended up creating a spell for her to use, which is actually one of the funnest things I've ever gotten to do. Is called Zeboim's Waterway, where basically a water spout comes out of a lake, hits the target, sucks it up, and then just shoots it out of another pond close by to wherever your destination is. Like you're basically getting sucked through a full sewer or like a very long, like, water slide. And that was a real fun chunk of the book. Anyways.
So empowered Silvara has a Gilthanas under her spell.
Mm-hmm.
And it says that how does it say it here? I guess it doesn't say that she's under the spell of, but he casts a spell. There's a thunder. It creates the avalanche. It blocks the pass. They're safe from the elves that were pursuing them. And then Silvara starts leading them eastwards and says like, oh, be careful. We don't want to leave tracks. Though I don't know how important that is when you just caused an avalanche.
Yeah, I'm like, really, what tracks are you leaving?
By the time the pass is cleared in the summer, it won't matter.
Yeah, right? Like, I mean, you just caused tons of rocks and snow to fall down and you're worried about the tracks. But of course, Silvara's like, don't worry, dude. They're going to have no trouble finding us. We want them to find us. And like, Laurana's like, what? How the hell? What do you mean? Silvara is like, yo, you were clever to think that I had left them a sign in the cave because I did leave them a sign. I drew a map right underneath all that like stuff that you the camp that you disheveled. And so I thank you for making it look even more accurate. Like we were left there in a rush in a hurry. And Laurana's just like really grumbling and feeling double played here.
Yeah. And then Silvara's like, no, it's for a good reason. Just was letting the orb go was also good. You're just going to have to trust me.
She says that a lot.
Yeah. And outside of healing Gilthanis and helping them escape, I don't like, what has she done to earn the trust?
Diddly.
Well, she was naked for Gilthanis, so that's a lot of trust for Gilthanis, I guess.
That is fair. That is fair. However, there's a whole lot of Laurana's not wrong to be suspicious here.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you? Where are you taking us? How do you know where to go with your legends of your ancestors telling you all these ways? And now you're seducing my brother. This is problem. Who the hell do you think you are?
It's awkward because it seems like everyone's agreeing with Laurana. They're like, hey, yeah, you're right here. And then Silvara says, I can't tell you, but like, don't you remember what happened at the pool, Gilthanis? Don't remember what we said to each other? Then everyone just says, oh, yeah, it's true love. So, right, there was Laurana looked blankly at the others. They avoided her eyes. Then Theros came up to her. I think the authors are trying to have us feel that, like, one, Laurana is right, but Laurana is also wrong.
There's like a weird point of views here get a little mucky. You're like, okay, I don't understand what. Rereading these chapters now as an adult and thinking about this as an adult with clarity and stuff, is this arc of the story here doesn't make a ton of sense. And like Theros buying it and believing it, okay, I get it. He was there, he lived there, he understands. Laurana not buying it, I get, but I don't understand Weiss and Hickman here and how they're trying to interweave these two narratives together, because that feels a little sloppy.
Yeah.
It feels like you don't, in previous chapters or previous chunks of these books, we had one through line of one point of view from a character or multiple point of view or whatever, but it would at least give you a consistent read on what's going on. Here, we're getting like two separate reads. Like, it's weird for the narrator to be telling me what is happening and then telling me that the character is wrong. Like, you just said so, then why did you tell me that? Like, it's Tolkien used to do this too, because I've been reading The Hobbit to my son, and like there'll be times when he's like, Bilbo climbed up a tree and saw that they were in the trees were endless on all the sides here. However, if he had known that the map was right there and that the border's right there, maybe he would have been smarter about it. Like, I don't need your aside, buddy. Like if you want me to feel the despair of Bilbo, you've already done a great job of that. You don't need to reinforce it by telling me that he's also wrong. Like here, I think if we had just followed Laurana's chain of thought until the reveal, it would have been more powerful and a little less muddied. But the thing is, though, this all becomes moot very soon.
Yeah. Well, and that's maybe, as you said, is rushing, is that they are rushing to get someplace, because it almost feels like the authors were just trying to push everyone there so they could get onto the next big bit of the story.
Yeah. According to the notes, so this chunk of the story takes place in DL7. This, per Jeff Grubb, is where before this, the modules were ahead of the novels. This is where the modules caught up to the novel, or the novels caught up to the modules, and thereafter the novels came first. So this feels a little bit like reconciling the two kind of streams of canon.
Got it.
And bringing them together.
I do like what Flint says here, though. He's like, for the sake of my cold feet, I'd follow her into a dragon's den.
Yeah.
If he'd warm my toes. Let's go.
Gilthanis is like, and Laurana, you're being an idiot. Let's just go. And he's talking to Silvara, and she's like, I need you to trust me because, like, we're outcasts and nobody loves us, and I love you. And Gil's like, I just had the best booty of my life, so I agree.
There's a content warning. Best booty of my life.
And then like Laurana is like sitting there looking at this going like, what the hell? And Theros is like, I've lived in the world 50 years, young woman. Not long to you elves, but we humans live those years. And I'll tell you, that girl loves your brother as truly as I've ever seen a woman love man. And he loves hers. And I'm like, oh, Margaret, come on. But anyways, for the sake of their love alone, I'd follow them into a dragon's den. And then Flint is like, screw this, I'm freezing. For the sake of my cold feet, I'd follow them into a dragon's den. Also, it's funny that they're like, huh, a dragon's den, you say? Huh.
Yeah.
Fancy that.
So they continue east out of the mountains. They go into a forested valley and into a grass-covered vale called Foghaven.
Mm-hmm.
Silvara is pushing them the whole time, says that we're very near. And then we learn a lot about this place, which sounds really cool.
Oh, yeah. Like, the story here, like, Foghaven Vale, which is like just a really cool mystical fantasy location. It's described so cool. I mean, this is one of those scenes where you're like, damn, I really want to play this module. This is like so much fun because this is like one of the sacred holy sites on Kryn, right? This is, I mean, okay, you're going to find out in like 10 minutes anyway. So we're just going to say this is where the Silver Dragon Mountain is. This is where the Tomb of Huma is. And so when they describe this vale, what you've got is this beautiful valley that in the middle of this forest area, surrounded by hot springs. And these hot springs, because they're up in the hills and stuff, cause an enormous amount of fog to generate and just like fill up and block the whole area to make it very misty and very hard to see anything. And according to Silvara, before the cataclysm, this place used to be a beautiful open valley without the fog there. The shrine was a floating castle, which it is no longer now.
And it was a place of pilgrimage, she said. People would come and...
It said, rather, the fortress of Foghaven floated above the mist as if it were floating on clouds. So it wasn't a floating castle, but it was a big shrine that was built on the mountain that you could see from far away. Pilgrims used to come here. It used to be a very famous, like, holy site. After the cataclysm, the volcanic activity and everything opens up, and suddenly it becomes a fog shrouded and like hidden place that you can't go to. And so the heroes come in there, and like, Silvara's like, this description is actually pretty great here. Once the fortress of Foghaven floated above the mist as if floating on a cloud. The rising sun colored the mists pink in the morning, burned them off in midday so the soaring spires of the fortress could be seen for miles. In the evening, the fog returned to cover the fortress like a blanket. By night, the silver and red moons shone on the mist with a shimmering light. Pilgrims came from all parts of Kryn. Silvara stopped abruptly. We'll make camp here tonight. And Laurana's like, what pilgrims? Who? And Silvara's like, legend of my people. And we're like, okay, lady.
Perhaps it's not even true.
Yeah, and Laurana's like, you're lying. But she's just like, I don't care. I'm tired.
And she says, go to sleep. We'll enter when the silver moon reaches its zenith. That's when we have to leave.
Yeah.
And Taz is like, what does it matter? We can't see anything in the fog.
I mean, well said. And meanwhile, Gilthanas is over here and he's like falling asleep and he's like making plans for Silvara. He's like, we're going to get married and I'm going to introduce you to my dad and you're going to have kids. And Silvara's like, go to sleep. Just stop talking and go to bed.
Before you see me crying, because that's all his talk of the future has just made her cry.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, no, it's okay. Everything will be great. And then she's like, go to sleep. Come on.
Yeah, you have no idea, buddy. Shut up. At midnight-ish, the Kaganesi wakes up the party, and they're all groggy and tired, and they stand up. We're starting to get more foreshadowing about Flint here. He's like having a lot of trouble waking up. He's having like chest pains. His joints are hurting. He's 150 years old, and he definitely sounds like it. You're seeing that, like, his face is losing color. He's looking old, even for himself. He's looking old and weary and kind of worn down.
He is old, right? Like, he is just old.
Well, 150 is like let's say the equivalent of being in your 60s or something, 60s or 70s. So yeah, he's not young.
Yeah,
he's not young, but he's not like, but like dwarves live to be like in their 250s or something. Well, about their 200s or so.
But probably not tramping out in the mountains camping all the time.
Yeah, like at this point, he should be retired at home with his grandkids or whatever, right? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, so they all wake up. They're all starting moving. And Silvara turned on a torch. And she's like, look, nobody can get in here. Nobody can get out of here. All of the entrances and exits were shut by the cataclysm because rocks fell, everybody died. And the only way in just happened to be the way that I know. Laurana's like, and your people. And Silvara's like, yeah, my people. Sure.
Is this the first time they've mentioned ogres in the book?
Yeah, they have.
They mentioned ogre realms here, that it used to be open to the ogre realms.
Ergoth used to be a human empire, and it was also a realm where the ogres lived, like in the Caucasus Mountains and in the the Caucasus are not there, but the Caucasus are all the way over on the by Ishtar, the Karlis over here. There were the other series of mountains that are over in Ergoth area, and in southern Ergoth, especially the high ogres, like the ogres, basically had a kingdom there.
Mm-hmm.
There were the ogre lands there, but that was after the Ergothian Empire had kind of fallen down and Solamnia had risen up. There's a lot of complexity there. It's more that like now there's also a lot of ogres there in like the northern part of Ergoth and stuff.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know. It's one of my favorite places to run an adventure, but yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, she's like, no one can get in except for us. We know the secret way.
Yeah. And so Laurana's like, where are we going?
You'll know in an hour, but you just got to follow me for that. And they just wander into the fog. And then they're wandering and wandering. And then eventually Silvara's like, we're here.
Yeah, that is a little weird to me. I'm like, how long is this? They have to march an hour to get to the actual part of the, like, how big is this vale? Like, it's like Yosemite Valley or something. Like, how big of a hike are we talking here?
And they get to this bridge right over the hot springs. They couldn't see the top of its arch. It's carved in some way they don't understand. Doesn't have any guardrails, and it's soaking wet.
Yeah, I love this scene.
And so they're like, we can't cross that. We're not crossing that. Are you crazy? And Silvara's like, we must. We've been summoned. It is the time of Luminari, Silvari said suddenly. And swinging her arm, she hurled her torch into the water. Darkness swallowed them. Involuntarily, they crept closer together. Silvara seemed to have vanished with the light. Gilthanas called for her, but she did not answer. Then the mist turned to shimmering silver. They could see once more, and now they could see Silvara, a dark, shadowy outline against the silvery mist. She stood at the foot of the bridge, staring up into the sky. Slowly she raised her hands, and slowly the mists parted. Looking up, the companion saw the mist separate like long, graceful fingers to reveal the silver moon, full and brilliant in the starry sky.
So good.
Well, and then the thing they see is so good too, right?
Yeah. I mean, like this bridge of passage, they call it, right? It's a long, smooth arch of pure white marble. And along its sides, got these reliefs of knights basically moving forward, symbolically crossing over the thing. Bit I like there is that, like, Flint is staring at this because he loves, stonework and whatever. And he's like, this isn't dwarven work. It's not elven work. It's not human work. Who the hell built this thing? Tracy personally believes that the Erda built it, the original, the ogres who purified themselves became good and followed like Paladine. But when I read it the first time, I believed that a different group of people built this amazing bridge, and we'll find out about that later.
She calls it the Bridge of Passage and says, when you cross it, you will stand before the monument of the Silver Dragon, answered Silvara softly. It guards the tomb of Huma, Knight of Solamnia.
Yeah, let's go.
And soaring above them, when the mist parted, above them they could see a giant dragon head.
Oh, yeah.
With the figure of a dragon carved out of a mountain of rock, shining silver in the moonlight. So pretty dramatic reveal.
Yeah. Also, think about just what that vivid image would be like. You're standing in a fog so thick you can't see your hand in front of your face. This crazy bridge that is pure white marble going over these hot springs that are like insanely hot. And then she holds her hand up and, like the sorcerer in Fantasia, and splits the fog to see this giant, enormously gorgeous, multi-story tall, this statue of a silver dragon or whatever.
It's a mountain carved to be a dragon.
Yeah, the whole mountain has been carved into that. It would have been like awe-inspiring, right? Like just like mind-breakingly cool.
It's like take the fog from the Bay Area, put it into Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And then grab Mount Rushmore and drop it in there. But instead of a head, it's one giant dragon. And that's what we got. That's like, it's very impressive.
Oh, yeah. I think it's such a that's such a good description. It's such a great place to just like, and like it's a chapter end right there. It's like, oh.
Yeah. And that's where the chapter ends. Boom. Done.
So good.
But before we start Chapter 8, The Tomb of Huma, I just want to remind folks that we now have a Patreon for those who want to support the podcast. Benefits include seeing the show notes, getting a shout out, and you can always find links to our Discord and Facebook there, as well as in the show notes. Details for the Patreon can be found at www.patreon.com, Chronicles of Dragonlance podcast. So shout outs to Alexander Louis, Nicholas Campo, Swardango, Chris and Drew, Jason Bledsoe, Brandon Brown, John Merlino Jr., and Jane Newolf. Thank you guys so much, and we hope you can support as well.
So, Chapter 8, The Tomb of Huma, which opens up with this fantastic interstitial art of like this beer with the shield and the sword, and like I'm like, oh man, this trilogy killed it with the interchapter artwork. It was so good and like helped set the stage for the story so much. I honestly think these books really just ruin novels for me, because there's so many times now where I will flip back to the beginning of a chapter to look at the artwork to see like, oh, what is this chapter going to be about? And like Robert Jordan used to use that really well to like indicate what the characters are speaking. And Sanderson does it a bit too, but nobody has done it as good as the Dragonlance Chronicles and Legends did.
I wonder if it's just like a cost thing now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure this cost an insane amount of money.
Get all this custom art for every chapter, and for most people now it's just,
Yeah, but it's all pen art, and there was like by a staff artist inside the company, right? So it's not.
but none of it's done that way anymore, right? Like it's not all integrated like that, where you don't have, yeah, maybe if Brandon Sanderson had an artist that's on his staff that he pays.
Yeah, but one of the things that does irk me a lot is that, like, I was looking at the new Dragonlance novel, and the new Dragonlance novel, which is printed by a different company, that like Penguin Random House or whatever, not by
Yeah, it's Penguin.
I guess Margaret and Tracy must have insisted on like, hey, look, we need good cover art and we need to have really good interstitial artwork. And the Penguin Random House guys went onto like all the random the clip art places and like the not clip art, but like, you know, Getty images and everything. And they paid money and they credited all of the artists they used, but they did not get like custom bespoke artwork for each chapter the way that these old books did. It's just like, hey, we found this clip art that looks like a thing that represents the thing in the story. We're putting it in there. I'm like, okay, I understand. Financially, I understand. And also, it's not Margaret and Tracy's fault. They don't put the book together. That's on Penguin Random House.
Yeah.
But as a long lifer fan who notices these things, it's the sort of thing that just like, times have changed and we can't do anything about that.
Nope. Silvara assures them that the crossing the bridge is only difficult for those who wish evil, and so they start to cross the bridge. They're still a little scared, and I like what Tess says in the middle here. He's like, I think we could cook meat in the boiling spring below them. Just a reminder, if you fall off this bridge.
You know, Flint is like, please stop. You will die. Like, just stop. It's in a really evocative moment. You realize how big this bridge actually is. And the fact that there are no guardrails and the fact that on either side is boiling hot water. So you better watch your step, buddy. But the bridge is like enchanted. It's enchanted in such a way as to not let you. It's like if you're evil, you are going to slip and fall and have to roll saving throws. If you're good, they're just going to make you feel like it's tougher than it is. And nobody's talking Silvara. They're all just kind of in awe of what's going on here. And they get to the other side, and Laurana once again is like, all right, what the hell? Why are we here? What is going on? And Silvara's like, what, you don't trust me yet? I'm like, no, I don't trust you yet. What have you done for me to trust you? You know? Like,
is Huma's body even here? And this explanation doesn't make any sense to me, because she says, no, there's no body and there's no lance. They all disappeared when Huma defeated Takesis. And it's like, well, it almost makes it.
Well, let me get to that in a second. Hang on one second. Because I want to explain the Laurana's passage here where they describe it is really good. Like, Laurana hesitated. Her gaze went once again to the huge stone dragon whose head was crowned with stars. The stone mouth was open in a silent cry, and the stone eyes stared fiercely. The stone wings were carved out of the sides of the mountain. A stone claw stretched forth as massive as the trunks of 100 valenwoods. And Laurana's like, you send the dragon over away and then bring us to a monument dedicated to a dragon. What am I to think? And you bring us to this place you call Huma's home. We don't even know if Huma lived or if he was a legend. What's to prove it? Is his body there? And so Silvara's like, well, no. His body disappeared. And she's like, as what? Oh, well, so did the lance, the dragon that you destroyed, the dragon of all colors and none. And she's like, look, just come inside. We'll figure it out. And Laurana's like, this is stupid. And Gilthanas is like, you're being a spoiled child. Let's go inside. Why would Silvara lead us to danger? I'm like, someone's thinking without using his brain here. And he's like, look, if there was a dragon here, everyone on Ergoth would know. It would have destroyed everyone a long time ago. So Gilthanas is actually not wrong there. Like, people would know if there was a giant dragon living here.
Yeah.
Sheep would be missing or something, right? And he's like, look, it's a perfect hiding space. Everything's fine. Just shut up and let's go. And Silvara's like, yeah, that's exactly my plan. Totally. You got it. Let's go.
Yeah. When I read it, though, it just made me, with the part where it's like, oh, his body disappeared, it made me feel like at one point his body was there. And it's like, oh, wait, no, all this stuff was built after he died as like a memoriam to him. It's not really the tomb of Huma. It's like the altar to Huma.
It's kind of like it's like the Lincoln Memorial doesn't have Lincoln's body.
Yeah, it's like the memorial to Huma.
I mean, they have his shield and his sword there. The way I believe it happened is like, he dies, he lies in state at the High Clerist's Tower or whatever, and then they bring him to the Foghaven Vale. They inter him. They have the big ceremony. Huma has been buried here, and then the gods themselves bring Huma to, like, to protect his body. They bring him to the celestial heavens, and send him to his eternal rest or whatever. And they take the lance away too to keep anything bad from happening to the literal dragon lance.
I thought it was just that in the fight he just disappeared, like when Takesis disappeared.
Oh no! He died. No, he dies on the ground, like, and they're able to find his body in the body of the silver dragon.
The dragon also died.
Yeah, that's why it makes it a tragedy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Where is the silver dragon buried? We never learn.
She probably went off to Paladine.
Oh, okay.
They're not going to let her corpse be out there. Are you kidding? When she dies, she is taken back to the Dragon Isles or back to Paladine himself.
Got it.
Because he promised them, like, he was like, look, I need you to do this. I know it's bad, and I promise you will be safe afterwards.
So, but Silvara says, look, we'll just be safe once we get in there, but we only have so much time. It's only open when the silver moon is shining.
Mm-hmm.
They follow. Laurana goes last.
I love this part. They're going and, they're crossing the grass and it's steamy and wet and everything. And suddenly Tasselhoff's like, Raceland, they turned him into a giant. Flint's like, Kender's mad. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. He's finally broken. They all run forward. And then Flint's like, by the beard of Reorx, it is Raceland. Because there's a giant statue carved in a perfect likeness of the young mage. And then there's one of Caramon and Tanis and all of their friends and buddies. Laurana's like, what the hell is going on? And Silvara's like, look, it's not evil. Unless you bring evil, and at which point those statues will turn into things you fear and terrify you. But here, they're just your friends because you come here with good intent. And these statues have like a permanent illusion spell cast on them, and it's a really cool just kind of effect. But these guys are like, Raceland's not my friend. And it's like, well, let's not argue with the statues, okay?
I would argue that they're friends with Raceland. It's probably a question if Raceland is friends with them.
Right? There's a reason why Raceland's not in this chunk of the book.
Yeah, like if Raceland was walking here, I imagine he would see totally different things.
He would see a bunch of very empty statues. No one is Raceland's friend. Yeah, so they go through.
And they see all the companions. All of them are there.
Yeah, right. Laurana's remembering, like, she's looking at the Raceland statue and she's seeing that it's black in the night light, reflecting because the statue is made of obsidian. And she's thinking about the nightmare going like, black robes, huh? And it's like, well, dude, chill. It's a black rock. It's going to be black robes.
Those are just more hints.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that they had
they love them for foreshadow.
They put all that stuff in here and it's all interesting how they planned it all the way out to the second trilogy.
It's very clear. After the fact, it's very like obvious to see this stuff, but like when you looking at them laying the tracks down, it's really neat.
Yeah.
So yeah, they go to the temple, and there's a small rectangular building that thrusts up from the fog there. It's weird. They put a rectangle on top of an octagon. That kind of irks me, but anyways, they make it out of obsidian because Tracy loves making things out of obsidian. It's a good, clean volcanic rock, and there's no wear there. It looks as if the thing has been built yesterday. There are knights bearing dragon lances, charging against huge monsters. There's dragons screaming silently. Silvara's like, this is the temple where they placed Huma's body. See, like I said.
Got it.
And so, like, they go in, bronze doors open. It's funny they use bronze because bronze is the metal associated with Morgion, the god of plagues. Anyways, so Laurana immediately makes a comparison between this and the Slamori, which is like, the last tomb we were in. And she's like, well, that one was terrifying and full of undead elves who wanted to eat me. This one feels peaceful and calm. That's pretty neat,
I'm sure she appreciates the difference.
Yeah. Well, it's like, okay, well, maybe nobody's going to try to like shank me here. It's like kind of nice. Yeah, but she feels her burden ease and her heart becomes lighter and her sorrows and losses are diminished. And I'm like, huh, what kind of what kind of aura is on this place? Is like the next line's like, she's reminded of her victories and her triumphs. All the companions enter the tomb and they all suddenly are like walking a little stronger, standing a little taller, feeling a little less oppressed upon. It's like they're in a dungeon crawl and they make it in like, a Japanese RPG and they make it to the inn in the middle or something, and where you can sit and stop and actually save your game.
This is Dark Souls, and they just reached a campfire.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they Dark Souls. Laurent's like, man, I wish Sturm could be here. I'm like, there's probably a reason why Sturm isn't here, because you would never take Sturm out of here.
Yeah, he wouldn't leave. In the center is a stone bear.
Beer.
And it's got a shield and a sword on it. The sword looks like Sturm's. I have to imagine that this is Huma's actual sword and Huma's actual shield.
Yeah.
Along the sides of the temple, there are benches, and there's a small altar in the back, decorated with the orders. And below this altar, on the ground, there's a large iron plate. Silvara lights all the torches, so now that's how they can see everything. And Laurana's like, oh, I wonder what this big metal plate is covering.
This is a little weird. I don't know if it, because then, the next thing is Theros is like, hey, let's find out. And he reaches over and yanks it open. And I'm like, buddy, you just got led through the fog to a crazy temple in the middle of a vale. Maybe let's not just open the random pit trap.
But it feels good, so...
Yeah, man. It's like, okay, so you're all high, and now you're going to do a stupid thing.
And it didn't sound like the room was that big, but Silvara doesn't notice until after he's already scraped it, pulled the big thing away, and then she's like, oh, stay away from there. It's dangerous. It's just a deep hole. It's not a well.
We'll find out what that is later.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, remember, when Silvara walks in, her mind goes elsewhere.
Yeah, she's thinking about other things. That's true.
Yeah. Laurent's like, how do you know that's dangerous? Nobody's been here for hundreds of years, or have they? And she's like, the legends of my people.
That line is wearing a little thin.
Laurent's like, I don't buy it. And she sticks her torch down, looks inside, and it's dark. And Flint is like, nope, nothing. It looks dark. And Tat's like, oh, I want to go see it. And everybody's like, Theros like, yeah, if you fall in there, you're going to fall through the other side of the world. So let's maybe chill.
That is not a warning to Kender, because way to encourage him.
He's just like, other side of the world? I want to go to the other side of the world. Flint is like, he gives a little bit of world building lore, which I always loved. Dude, everybody knows that the other side of the world rests on the anvil of Reorx. If you fall to the other side, you're caught between his hammer and the world as it's still being forged. So maybe let's, and I'm like, that's a really cool and vivid image of the world is still being made on the other side. But real talk, if he popped through and came out the other side of the world, he would end up somewhere like the Kurain Ocean north of Talatis or something like that. Or maybe, actually, given the nature of the map, he would probably actually end up in Talatis somewhere, which would be pretty cool.
That's the other continent.
That's a continent on the other side.
Yeah.
My personal favorite thing about Dragonlance. That never shows up in any novels except for Chris Pearson's. I am proud to be one of the 3 people in history who's gotten to write about Talatis in canon, and that's cool. But Flint is just sitting there and looking around, and he's like, I know stonework, and there's something weird about this. The tomb and statues built outside are the work of men, sure, it's old. And Laurent's like, old enough to be Huma's tomb? And he's like, yeah, for sure. That great beast outside, and he gestures at the stone dragon, that was never built by the hands of elf or man or dwarf. And it's older still, so old that it makes all of this, and he waves at the tomb, modern. And Laurana begins to understand. And Flint is like, he sees her eyes widen, he nods, and he's like, yeah, no hand of any being that walks on Kryn on 2 legs carved the side of that cliff. That's a very telling way to say that. Because Laurana's like, it must have been a huge creature of awesome strength.
With wings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the stone dragon here was created for the modules by Jeff Grubb, because he wrote it for DL7, which is Dragons of Light. And it's such a really cool dungeon design. But we'll find that out when we actually get to the next chapter, when they start poking around.
And as they realize it, Laurana gets really worried, and then she recognized the strange spidery language of magic.
Yeah.
And she turns around, lifting her hand instinctively to ward off the spell, knowing as she did so it was futile. Silvara stood beside the altar, crumbling rose petals in her hand, chanting softly. She casts a spell on them and they all fall asleep. And as Laurana's falling asleep and fighting it, she hears the clattering of a shield and then nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is chapter 8.
Yeah, the shield is because Tasselhoff was messing with it and he picked it up. But yeah, and then suddenly just a smell of roses and we're done with this chapter.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening here. We're getting a lot of setup leading into a very important portion of this story, the heart of the story even, of one of the big moments of where we go from here. And it's going to be a fun one.
Chapter 9 and 10 are huge.
In figuratively and literally.
In so many ways. Also, this temple is so over-engineered, we're about to find out.
Oh, yeah. It does not make any sense from a draconically designed perspective or like, why does this exist? This is definitely one of the early 80s dungeons for the sake of dungeoning before they were like, hey, we need to have logical reasons for why these rooms are here and how, like, who's building these things and where do the kobolds live? No, none of that. This is definitely pure getting high in your own supply D&D. This is 100% I have a really neat idea. And then you're like, why are there floating platforms? What the hell does... And it's like, shut up. It's cool. You're like, okay, if you say so.
But we'll talk about that more next month when we take up chapter 9, the Kender startling discovery, chicken feathers. I've been Jonathan Howard, and again with Shivam. Thanks for listening. You can find our Blue Sky accounts, Facebook group, Discord link show in the notes, as well as the Patreon link. And we'll see you next time. Bye, Shivam.
Bye.
Did you see that they updated it?
You know what? I still use Audacity 242 or whatever it is.
Oh, you've never upgraded it.
Yeah, because no, I upgraded once to like 3 and I was like, this is garbage. I'm going back to the one I know and love and sticking with it. Because like...
That's what I did.
Yeah, because the real truth is like, you don't need a new Audacity. There's nothing about that system that changes that matters to us.
Yeah, I was like looking, I was like, why did they change this? What was wrong with it before? This doesn't even make sense now. Like I was trying to figure out,
no,
what does the y-axis on this chart even mean?
Yeah, like there's just like, I mean, they added all this extra shit and it's just, I'm sure someone somewhere was like, hey, these are all these great mods people have made. Let's just link them in because they do useful things. For folks like you and me, Audacity 242 is the perfect program.
Yeah, I don't plan on updating it now because it's just like, I don't like...
No, I have all my settings set.
I don't need anything more. I'm not a professional sound mixer here.
I have all my settings like fixed. I know how the thing works. Not touching it.
All right. Your face is just making me...
I should look up how you pronounce it. I've said it. That's one of those words that...
I think it's beer.
Yeah, I think it is beer.
It always sounds funny because like you think like there's just like a little bottle of ale.
Yeah. No, it is pronounced it's pronounced beer.
Yeah, it's beer.
Yeah.